The passionate leader. Because leadership without passion is just a title.
Meeting. We got a collapse in the garage. Get the squad back living in here. We got an IV gone to a firefighter. It's on island urgent. Transmit a second alarm.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Passionate Leader. This is part 2 of our conversation with Nate House. In this episode, we dive into the pressures that come with leadership, the real ones. Nate talks about the emotional toll, the importance of humility, and the fine line between confidence and ego. This is where the conversation truly turns professional. It gets raw, reflective, and real. If you're serious about becoming a better leader, you're going to want to stick around and hear this. However, if you haven't already listened to part 1, please stop right there. Get back to episode 1 to get yourself caught up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's pick up where we left off. What would you say probably has been your biggest learning experience?
Well, there's two things for the career. And I hope that everybody takes this to heart because you know what, for almost everybody listening, there are few places as sacred or as awesome as the firehouse. There is nobody that wants to miss time hanging out with their brothers and sisters. There's not a single one of us that wants to miss a fire. Not one of us. We're pissed when we have our Kelly day or day off and they catch a job and we're not there. But this ride will always come to an end at some point, and not always the way you expect it to. Be okay when you're not there. Like, I'm the kind, I learned that the hard way. Like, I've made a lot of mistakes in life. Like, I was always the guy where it's like, oh, I'm going to just swing into work on my day off and hit the gym, or I'm going to go talk to the boys. And it becomes, I let that job define me when really what we have to do is define the job. And there's a big difference. So I just posted a TikTok. I was up north of my property on Lake Michigan, and it was a beautiful, calm, peaceful morning, and it was as simple as it gets. And I'm like, I wish over the last 24 years, I could have just checked in and been present in the moment and not always thinking about the job, because the job will not always be there. It'll always be in here, in our minds, in our hearts, but it won't always be a place that we go and do. Everything else around us will always be there. So we must nurture that shit around us and not always the job. I used to be bad about that. Take my fire pager, sign up for overtime. I got to stop in and, they had a job. I want to go hear about what fire they had yesterday. Who gives a shit? It'll be there. Because I posted this TikTok a year ago, and I, on my Class A uniform, right, I got, I don't know, like 9 different commendations for stupid shit that no one cares about. And you know what I put out there? You know where all that shit's going to end up someday when I'm dead? Trash, or in the bottom of a drawer, or Goodwill. And it doesn't mean shit to anybody. My old helmets, they might hang out in my kid's basement in the man cave someday when I'm long gone. Other than that, they'll be at the local community theater for a prop because they're going to be so old by that point. You know what I mean? Like, we hang up these things and we hold on to all this memorabilia. In a lot of ways, I think, to remind us of the things that we can't express to other people. It reminds us of things that no one else understands. But this ride comes to an end, and all that shit ends up in a dumpster. It's not worth it. So love the job, but the job is never going to love you like you love it. And I wish I would have learned that earlier on.
Deep, I love it.
As far as business side of things, I'm still figuring that out every day. But what I would urge everybody is, if a guy like me can go out there and have a meteoric rise of hitting the podcast circuit and going to FDIC and getting published, and I'm not lying, I should probably have Velcro fire boots. Like, I'm kind of an idiot. I mean, I've got some good ideas. I speak very well. I give you that. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm not some wizardly smart guy here. I'm just an average firefighter. Take that leap of faith. If you got something that you want to add, don't ever sell yourself short that, well, no one wants to listen to me. Somebody, I swear to God to you, I don't know who needs to hear this, but somebody out there wants to hear what you have to say, whether that mean you make TikTok, whether you start a podcast, whether you just start blogging your ideas. I don't care what it is. Somebody out there wants to hear what you have to say, so don't ever be afraid to take that leap of faith. It works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. You're not out anything.
Hey, dude, that's deep. That's like that's Popal type stuff right there.
Dude, I'm telling you, I have had tremendous failures in relationships, even in marriage, and like,
Yeah.
it's hard be doing what we do, and there's a lot of baggage that comes with that, and that's why we cling to each other's because we are the only ones that get it. Like, but the ride comes to an end, and when you have to get off that ride, don't let yourself be culture shocked, man. And you know what, dude?
Good
I've made
call.
so many mistakes. Don't be afraid to look back and say, "Oof, I'm not gonna do that again." I don't mind mistakes. I want original mistakes, not repeat mistakes, though. Big difference
Yeah.
on that one. I don't want repeat mistakes.
Well, I mean, it's the old you can take a carpenter's word that smashing your thumb with a hammer is going to hurt like a fucker. You don't need to go and do it yourself.
That's right, man.
Like,
You're not wrong. You're
no,
not wrong.
I love it. I know when in our town, so we had a brand new building inspector one time and a brand new DPW director. They came in and they were, they did work long hours and they'd work, after they'd punch out and they'd keep working. I'm like, guys, don't do it. I said, I know you love the town and you're trying to get things done. I said, but the only one that's really going to suffer is going to be you and your family at home. And it's the 15 minutes here and 15 minutes there and everything like this. It's going to wear you down far more than even if you're getting paid for it, than any compensation ever will. The burnout factor is so real in this career, and it's do things to offload that. It took me a little bit, honestly. It's taken me a little bit to realize, you know what, when it's, I'm fortunate enough to work Monday through Friday 8 to 4. I have bankers firefighter hours, but
All right.
when it's 4, man, I'm out the door, and the pager goes off in the afternoon after hours. I screen the calls. I'm like, you know what, that's a a little CO call. It doesn't sound like anything crazy. I'll tune in with an ear and I'll listen. But if I'm in the middle of doing a project around the house that's imperative to my family's well-being, that's going to get taken care of first.
Well, we just
It's
yeah.
it's huge. I love it.
We justify it all the time. Oh, I signed up for this. Well, you did, but you also signed up to have a spouse. You also signed up to have
Yes.
a family. And guess what? They're going to be there when the day is done. They're going to have your back when you
Amen.
need them the most. When you come home from that really, really fucked up call with a dead kid and you're like just all you want to do is be by your family, they're going to be there more than the
Yep.
job is. You go home. You don't go to the bunk room, right? When the shift is done, you go to people who love you and investing in them. Boy, I was never the best at. Let me rephrase that. I didn't do the best job putting them out in front. I always showed it. I
Sure.
always told them, but when we're sitting there playing baseball and it's a gas leak outside in the field, and I'm like, all right, boys, I can't play ball with you right now. I got to go to do this job because I'm an officer and I'm off duty and I got an expectation. And no, they needed that too, and I was good
Sure.
enough about it, but I could have been better, But we in the fire service, like, well, they knew what they were getting for when they married me and signed up for this. No, what they signed up for is a spouse. They're being supportive.
Amen.
They're being
I love it.
supportive. Don't get it twisted.
Ah, that's deep. That's a hell of a goddamn soundbite right there. I love it.
Oh yeah.
So we tickled a little bit on it, and something that I'm super excited to learn about was walking us through the process of how you really got into the FDIC, and what you sort of learned from your unsuccessful attempt one year to your successful attempt the next, and then honestly what the whole experience was like from being a presenter standpoint and not just an attendee.
So, I think it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like, I've done some cool shit as a fireman. I mean, really cool stuff. This has to rank up there with all the other things. And it's really hard because I know that I've got a really cool thing, but like, I'm not selling a thing. I'm not selling a product. I'm not selling like gloves or boots or the newest helmet or thermal imaging cameras or the head nozzle. I'm selling an idea that people are going to have to put a lot of legwork into to be better. And that has a hard time selling. But I know because we've had so many departments that have had successes, I know this thing works. So when I first submitted to it, FDIC, I'm like, I know that my thing that I'm selling, I want to teach is cutting edge. I know that we're at the front line of this, and FDIC prides itself in that, but I didn't do a good job at all. I just went back a while back and looked at the submission again from a couple years ago. And it was garbage. I
Sure.
didn't know what I didn't know. I thought I was making sense. I look back, and if I would have been scanning through with thousands of others, I'd been like, no, what? No. So I networked and I reached out to some folks. I'm like, hey, I don't know what I don't know. Can you give me some pointers, and can you look over my proposal? You speak at FDIC. Can you kind of point me in the right direction? And they gave me some very, very helpful tips. Like, everybody applies for the leadership category, for example. They have to do
Mm.
some weighing and sorting. Can we argue that mine doesn't necessarily fit into leadership? Sure, as much as training or some other category that might otherwise be needed. Yeah, sure. So that, and then having people who've done this say, all right, this part's good, this part's not good. Let's rewrite this and tell me what you mean. That doesn't make sense to me. And doing a rewrite on it, that was a big deal. Submitting to Clarion's, like, Firefighter Nation and Fire Engineering, just write to them and send them anything. Just use it and just write something down and send it to them and get the feedback. The people at Fire Engineering, like, I'm not kidding you, this is a major, major, major corporation. You couldn't have kinder, more down to earth folks. And I'm not saying that as a plug, because I don't even know if I'm getting into FDIC next year.
Let's try it.
I mean that so that people who are considering writing an article, amazing, great feedback, responsive, helpful. Like, it's not a scary experience. The editor in chief, for God's sakes, he was a fireman for a long time, career fireman. Like, these people get it. They speak firefighter. So getting published really helped me get into teach at FDIC too. And then the day comes, right? Like, I go down there. I drove just so I could have a vehicle and go tour around Indy. It's like 5.5 hour drive from me, south of me.
That's not too bad.
No, it wasn't horrible. And I kind of like road trips anyway, right? So stop and see the world's biggest ball of yarn and, whatever I wanted to do on the way down. And
Sure,
they put
sure.
you up. Yeah, they put you up. And what was really cool is I went and checked in, and they had, like, I call it like the green room, like this instructor's room. And everybody who's everybody, I mean, I'm talking like the keynote speaker all the way down to first time, little guys like me. Everybody's rubbing elbows and shaking hands, and it was a very warm and inviting environment. Stop in, get a coffee, get a treat, they got a little swag bag for you for being an instructor. Have a Coke if you want to, and just shoot the shit with the guys and girls. And the moment came, like, I don't get I take pride in the fact that maybe my adrenal glands are just destroyed and I don't have a fighter. But I don't generally get nervous. I was really freaking nervous. Because I'm like, this is it. Like, but I was also excited. And that one shocked me, because I thought I was going to just be terrified. I don't mind public speaking. I'll speak in front of 10,000 people. I don't care. Either I'm going to pull it off or I'm not. It's only going to go one of two ways. I'm not going to borrow worries. But I was kind of nervous, but I was also just profoundly, like, butterflies excited. Like, I had to crap. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I'm nervous or I'm excited. I don't know what's going on here. So, and I anticipated, like, they have a room where you can run your slideshow and you can practice everything in that green room, and everything worked flawlessly. And then I get into the classroom, and I got a couple of videos that I showed in my hour and 45 minutes. And of course, that computer they gave me, media didn't play on. So now, right. So one of my biggest fears is in a big event like that, like, hey, we're doing good, and we're the good vibe, and people are digging it, and people are engaged, and people are taking pictures. I told them, take pictures on the slideshow, whatever you want. And I get to the part where there's a video, and it's like, nothing, and I'm like, shit. So I'm trying to keep that upbeat instructor vibe going, man. So I'm describing what's happening and trying to make. I'm working through it, but I'm thinking I can feel that hot pickly feeling on my neck. I'm like, oh. And it went by that fast. And great. I mean, I got the reviews back. That was the biggest thing, is because I thought I did good. I thought it was a great program, but I wanted to see what other people thought. It doesn't matter what I think, right? So I wanted to see what they thought, and I saved it, put it in my files, and I don't know. I mean, it sounds silly probably, but I have gone back to that a couple times and reread it, because there wasn't a single bad comment on there. It was all glowing stuff. And that made me feel, it didn't stoke my ego. What it made me feel is like, okay, they're hearing the message. They're hearing the message, and they think this was good. They're going to take it back. They may not remember my name. I don't give a shit. It's not about me and my ego. It's that these folks took time to hear something that they might actually take back and that's a big deal, because I hit on a couple things, and there's one that I can elaborate on if you want me to. That sometimes we as firefighters, we throw that defensive posture up, and we're like, no, that sounds too much like change. We don't like that, but we also don't like how things are. And when we call out things like that, it's hard for the people who've been on the job for a while. And one of the examples was, I was watching a podcast. There's a guy who's a Detroit firefighter that posts a lot of stuff on TikTok. Seems like a super cool dude, real down to earth. Detroit's got their own culture. Like it or leave it, they do what they do. I don't work there. I've never fought a fire in Detroit. I can't speak to that. And so this guy, he's got a podcast, and there's two other dudes on there who are also Detroit Fire. Now, given credit where credit's due, they've made more fire in probably a month than I've made in 10 years, right? Like, this is Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
Fire. So as far as axe swingers, dude, they could run circles around me all day long. But there was this one comment that really, really struck me. And it's not unique to Detroit, but this guy called it out. And he's like, it doesn't matter what kind of degree you have, or who your dad's last name is, or where you come from. If you're new to Detroit, you're cleaning the shitters, because if I can't trust you to clean the shitters, how am I going to trust you on the fire? And I thought, oh no, that line, because I guarantee you, we've all heard that if I can't trust you to do blank, then I can't trust you on the fire ground. Well, if using a hunting analogy, like if I'm target shooting, for example, you're on paper, but you're missing the target entirely, because I guarantee you that is a line that has been passed down for generations, that someone said to them. Prove to me that your ability to do a menial task and have follow through of cleaning a shitter has any correlation to your ability to be a strong or trustworthy firefighter. It doesn't. Are house chores important? Absolutely they are. Fuck yeah, they are. But here's the deal, man. How do you pair that up? How do you square that up and square the deal on that? Because if I'm really good at scrubbing toilets, but I'm a shitty coward of a firefighter and I leave you inside, do you now still trust me because I'm good at cleaning the toilets? Or did I just negate the trust because of my actions on the fire ground? But if I negated those actions on the fire ground, then that goes back against your original statement that I have your trust because I clean the toilets. What if I'm terrible at cleaning the toilets and can't get a shit stain out of the porcelain to save my life, but man, I just did a really, really awesome vent under search and saved 2 kids? Do you not trust my abilities as a firefighter even though I demonstrated myself because I didn't clean the toilets? Or where does that square up? So the truth of the matter is, if it's your tradition that the probie cleans the toilets, cool. That's great. Own it as a tradition. Don't try to sell bullshit and say, you have to do this because. No. Hit them straight and say, you know what? Like it or leave it, man. It's a thing around here where the probie cleans the toilets. I did it. Everybody else here did it. Love it or leave it. That's the tradition. Own it. But don't try to put a bow on it and tell me that it's something that it's not. If you want to demonstrate pride and ownership and follow through and attention to detail, why don't you take them to the back of the rig and say, hey, you see all the supply line in this 2.5 inch that's dirty and shitty and looks like crap because they were in a hurry after the last job? What I want you to do is I want you to show me how much you want to be here and how proud of this engine company you are. And I want you to make those lines nice, tight, and stacked so that when we're driving through the city, we look like the best damn company with pride and ownership. And do it the right way. And maybe do it with them. And guess what? You're going to get better results than just saying, we do this because you're a probie and I got to trust you. Those days are gone. Own it and make them do the damn chores. But do you know why the senior people don't clean the toilets? Because it sucks. Same reason I didn't want to do it. But at the same time, if you do get neck and neck with that probie, because guess what? You're going to be in the shit when you're picking up, dead kids on the side of the road, when you're coming out of a fire and it's horrible and you just lost a brother, or, you got a fatality and you're in those horrible, horrible situations together with your officer, and hurt that officer or that senior person to get in there and form those relationships and the suck too. Yeah. My point is that if we're going to make the probie do shit chores, which I got no problem with, let's just call it what it is. Hey, sorry, man. Probies do dishes. Sorry, bro. Probies clean toilets. It is what it is.
That's how you earn your keep, right? That's just
absolutely.
how it works.
Don't lie and tell me that it's something that it's not, Because eventually
No.
that probie's going to grow up. And they're going to say, wait a minute, you're lying. Yeah, it has nothing to do with trust. You're the best man at my wedding. It has nothing to do with the ability to clean a toilet, 10 years later.
I think honestly, one of the most common questions. So I've been through small background. I've started working toward a book and all this stuff about rising through rejection because I've been through five four unsuccessful fire chiefs attempted interviews and one successful that I turned down. And I've always been the bridesmaid, but never the bride. So of course I'm like, man, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Like, is it my personality? Is it what I'm saying? And I've yet to find that answer. Um, man, dude, things just happen for a reason, and holy shit, that's where it all stems from. And one of the questions I get all the time during those interviews is, what is it that you like the most about the fire service? And without me, or without a doubt, or without the shadow of a doubt, and unequivocally, it's the why. We're the why generation now, which makes it the best part of the fire service ever.
Yeah.
We have I have I mean, we up until recently, because he was retired, we had a nuclear physicist on our fire department. He may have had a hard time getting the pump in gear, but he could tell you exactly how many molecules were pushing through that impeller at so many psi, and what the stretch rate of the hose was, and the
Yeah,
fabric, the tinsel, and it's just, you can't blow smoke up the people's asses anymore like we used to back in the day of the, well, because
that's
it's,
right.
because I said so, and it's great. That's what I love about the fire service now, is you can't blow smoke up their ass. It's just,
Yes.
and if you try, they're gonna call you on it, and you're gonna be wishing you had your SCBA on, because you're gonna be choking.
Well, and take that one step further, even if they don't call you on it, right? So let's say I'm a probie in the firehouse and I got this guy who's saying, you're cleaning the toilet so I can trust you. I'm going to go, what? And whether
Hmm.
I call you out or not, and I just go do the task because that's what I'm told to do and I'm playing the game, I'm going to think later on that you're an idiot.
It's a good call. Yep.
I'm like,
Yeah. The unannounced assumptions that this guy's a fucking asshole. He's a stupid.
right, you're going to trust. I'm the most trustworthy guy. You're going to trust. So you don't trust me because I didn't clean the captain's shit stain off the side all the way? What?
Right.
That's worthy. Okay. All right,
So
I'm gonna think you're a complete moron later on in life, and that will stick with me forever. Kind of like the guy who's like, you're an idiot. How do you not know what a momentary off switch is? Well, that legacy is gonna follow a lot deeper. It's not always
yeah.
that's not about us. It's about that perception of that probie too. If I want to build a strong team, whether we love it or not, and I'm not accustomed to that generation of the why. I probably ought to give them the background and the context for it so that I can make sure it's done
Oh,
correctly.
dude, and it's so funny because small engines trip everybody up, and I have more people now that can tell me how it works, but not actually work it through the process. So how it's
Right.
designed, and in the choke stuff. But man, this is good stuff. We could go on for hours. I love it. Uh,
Yeah, man, I get it. I
if
like it.
if there's any one thing you could change about the fire service as it is today, what would it be?
Jesus.
You're gonna drop me with some nuggets. Let's see what you got now.
Oh boy. Well, there's so many of them, right? If I could change
Sure.
anything, I wish that the people, the elected leaders, whether you've got a small village council or you've got a big city, aldermen, I wish that they truly understood what we do. If they truly understood what we do and the things that we see and the shit that we carry with us forever and the things that we risk to include our own lives, our mental health, our safety, family time, all the things that we're out there doing in the name of helping other people, if they could truly see what that job was all about, I have no doubt that we would be adequately funded and adequately staffed across every corner of this country.
Sure.
But
Yep.
that was one of my biggest challenges in public safety, is getting a couple of the cops to see why we're doing what we're doing, and getting the elected officials to see why these things are important. I don't know. I love the democratic process, right? But I failed to see where anybody else, as leadership's a big important thing to me, how anybody can be elected off the street, which is great, but have zero
Mm-hmm.
A, intellect, or B, leadership abilities.
Sure.
But they're the ones pulling the strings. I remember having to make compelling arguments. I remember arguing one time when we got a new police car. Well, we could save $3,000 if we didn't put flashing lights and a siren in it. How often do you really use it? I'm like, I'm like, you this, and right. So being politically correct, and I'm like, well, I want to be like, you are so goddamn stupid. It hurts. How are you alive? I want to say that, but of course I've got to be like, well, sir, I think the matter at hand is public safety, and you have to be able to use warning devices per OSHA, this and that, and blah blah blah. And I want to go over to him and I want to punch him in the throat for being so stupid and not just listening to me. If I put it in the budget and then the item and saying we need it, trust me as the person in charge saying that we need it. Why are we
Sure.
quibbling about this? That's where the issue and the disconnect comes from. Unions experience it all the time. Paid on call departments are having frickin' pancake breakfast to get the gear and the equipment that they need. You got fire departments who are running 2-person engine companies, 3-person engine companies against what the NFPA says. If the people who are making the decisions above the chief's head actually had any friggin' clue what this job does to us and what we do for the community, it would be an entirely different job. That I
Yeah.
think is the biggest one.
No, so I'm not sure if you followed the news at all, but we had a few, well, the outskirts of Boston, there was a
Yes.
major fire. So, and
Yeah.
of course, miraculously, a few days later, they now have staffing for 4 of their 10 engine companies, or sorry,
Oh
6.
yeah.
And it's I'm like, come on, man. So they literally have put a dollar amount on what it costs to staff a firehouse, and what the ultimate, paying, or the ultimate sacrifice has to be for 9 residents to lose their lives in an assisted living facility to
Yep.
staff 6 of their 10 engines, accordingly. It's so frustrating,
Well,
so incredibly
I
frustrating.
watched that press conference and they called it out. Usually I don't get all political, and I mean, I'm still a member of the IAFF as an active retiree, and I'm not the biggest drum beater in the world, but I watched that with my jaw open. I thought, good for you for calling that shit out, because
Yeah,
you're going to play that across the country anywhere, whether it be, adequate staffing for a full-time department or adequate equipment and gear and stuff for the paid on call world. I mean, you can argue that across the board, and I think
right.
that was awesome. And when that press conference happened, they called that out. I thought, good, freaking
Yeah.
good.
No, it's everybody suffers. Us being a paid combination department, I can go from, a Monday morning at 2 o'clock in the morning and have 12 guys, to Monday at noon have maybe myself and the chief if I'm not out doing an inspection. It's just how it works. And of course, we went to get, we're starting the slow process of, okay, so we need staffing at the firehouse, and people are like, well, you don't have enough calls, and it's to have to quantify things. And I'm like, it's not the amount of calls, it's the assurance that you're going to have a staffed house when yours catches on fire. That's what the reason for the staffing is. And well, so if we have them, could they do like building maintenance stuff? And I'm like, I mean, that's fine, but do you want Tommy up on the roof, re-shingling town hall when we get called to Mrs. Smith's because she's hanging out a window because her house is on fire? And well, why did Tommy fall getting off the ladder? How did he get hurt? Well, he was rushing because he's a building maintenance guy and your
Correct.
lieutenant. I
That's
mean,
right.
oh man, I could go forever on that. It this
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. And I think back to the thing about, being, if the elected leaders could understand it. I mean, I think that you would see the whole argument of volley versus full time coming to a quick end, because we'd all be staffed, we'd all be working together, we'd all have the same exact resources across the board. I think we'd see, community engagement go up. I think that you'd see fires go down and fire prevention, go up. I think you would see so many wonderful things, but it's expensive, and I get that, and that's the
Sure.
bottom line. Is it comes down to frickin' money, and I get it. The money's not there. You can only do so much with the money you got. That goes to every single. I mean, that's just common sense, right? You can only do with what you got, but man, we don't prioritize the fire service in this country like we should. We should all be making good money for the risks that we take, and the things that we're going to carry with us for the rest of our lives, the things that we can't unsee.
Yeah.
Every one of us has got
Yep.
some element of PTSD, for crying
Yep.
out
Oh
loud.
yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? We take a beating, and it's what a lot of times happens is we get shit on by, you know managers of the city or the township or whatever else, and we're a line item to them. And it doesn't matter if you're paid on call, volunteer, whatever else. They look at that almost with disdain sometimes. If I have to pay how much for what, Oh, they're
Right.
sleeping. It's 10 o'clock at night and they're there and they're sleeping. How am I paying for people to sleep? It's like, come on, like
No,
we're having to explain this to you, you know?
it that and that's where the level of bureaucracy for me. That's why, you know what, again, back to blessings in disguise. Um, it's kind of nice to not be the top dog because I have somebody to point when my problems go south. I
Yes.
have somebody to hand it to. But two, it's the shaking hands and kissing babies stuff that I want to be there to make the men and women better, the agency and the
Yeah.
community, but it's the cost of damn near selling your soul to
Yes.
dance with the devil to get, staffing so you have enough paper clips to put your, your SOPs together for the guys to read. It's like, come on, man. Like what the fuck are we doing here?
And there was this, I remember distinctly. So when I was at the top of the pyramid there in public safety, I remember what did I write? I wrote a proposal on something related to law enforcement. And I remember taking it before city council. And this one guy, he was a nice guy, but he was dumb as a hammer. He was like a councilman. He was just completely stupid. He's the kind of things that guys talk about in the group chats about how stupid they are. Like just anything you could possibly think of to say about how dumb he was. Nice, very nice,
Sure.
dumb. And so he asks this question during the council meeting. He's like, "Well, I don't like this word in here," and he's just looking for some. I think he felt like he had a
Sure.
responsibility to guide and navigate. He just derailed the whole thing, and I'm like, God, this job sucks so bad.
Yeah.
So for me, going back to your question, one of the things that I learned over the years is I don't make a very good number one because I can't really do stupid, and I can't sell my soul, and I can't possibly come out of there. I have a terrible poker face. So I can smile through like, hey, that was a good question. But I'm gonna look at you like this after you're gonna think you're being sarcastic because I am. I can't do that. It's just me. I make a
Amen. Yep.
really good number two guy. I will insulate the boss and I will take care of the men and women below me. But over the years I've learned, you know what? Whatever color badge I end up with, it's still gonna end up in a drawer somewhere that my kids are gonna have to sort
That's
through when
true.
I'm so why am I doing it? Why would I want to be a good number two or number one? Only if I can make the job itself better and not kiss ass to the bureaucratic bullshit that constantly goes with that role. I watch
Amen.
friends become chiefs and they're just miserable. They age like 10 years in the first year and they're like,
Mm.
yeah, this is awful.
Yeah.
Aw-
There's a lot to be said. I mean, like I said, being a deputy it's great. I'm what, third in charge, I think, if but
yeah,
it's great. It's wonderful because I don't have to deal with the stupid, the budgetary stuff and
for
the
sure.
well, can we move this out of the line item, and I think if we wiggle this, or and then there's the monthly meetings and keeping up with the everybody's got their own personal agendas, and I'm like, dude, I come in, I go to work, I do my job, I go home. And if I'm able to improve some people's lives in between, then I did a damn good enough job in my
Sure. And
stand.
there's nothing wrong with wanting to advance and promote up and challenge yourself for the right reasons. I have no doubt that you want to do it for the right reasons. And I encourage you to keep applying, keep
Yeah,
chasing that because you're going to do some great things. But how at the same time, and I'm not talking about you, but how many chiefs have we met over the years where you're like, "Ugh,
sure.
you probably shouldn't be in the fire service at all. You are so far removed and disconnected that it's just scary. You watch them come into the station, and you're like, oh God, I'm gonna go clean a toilet. Get me out of here. You
Get
know?
me the fucking toilet bowl brush. I'm
Yeah,
going to do some chores.
literally, you watch them just scatter like a long-tailed
It's so
cat in a
true.
room full of rocking chairs. They're just gone.
Oh, god damn, I love it.
It's true though, man. We've all found that
Oh,
we all know those people, but we
I
also have
yeah,
bosses that are just good, solid bosses that never forgot where they came from either. Those are the ones
yeah.
that we need to make change. Those are the ones we
I
need.
what blows my mind, and it's so unfortunate, but sometimes we learn more from the shit bosses than we do the good bosses. That's the worst part.
You
And
know?
and and
Yeah.
because they're so damn unbearable to be around that you're like, I'm out. When I get to where that peckerhead is, I'm not gonna be like that. And
Well,
as long as you stick to your guns and you know that's what you follow through with. And again, back to the attrition. We're through attrition we can get this damn ship turned right around, and we'll get there. We'll get
Well,
there.
and the thing back to what you just said, I'm gonna be honest. A lot of my successes, and I've had a lot of successes. Don't get me wrong. Not nearly as many as failures, of course, but my successes have largely, most of them, honest to God, been based on saying, "Whoop, that guy's a dipshit. I'm not gonna ever do what they did," or having bad bosses, or I'm like, I will never treat people that way, or I will never do that thing, and
Mm.
storing that in here, and committing to not doing that to people. Because they can, bad bosses certainly serve as a good example for those up and comers too.
Well, that's all the time that we have for now, and this is part 2 of a 2-part series we had with Nate House. Nate House is the owner and operator of firefighterfto.com, and that is the best way to get a hold of him. If your department needs somebody to train your trainers, Nate House is your cat. Thank you for spending your time with us today on the Passionate Leader podcast. If something today hit home, you can't just sit with it. You have to share it. You have to act on it. And more importantly, you have to be the kind of leader someone is praying for. And no matter what comes your way, always remember this: lead with passion, serve with humility, and leave no room for bottom feeders. Until next time, guys.